The night was thick with the breath of the forest, moist, heavy, and alive. The moon, a silver coin half hidden behind the canopy, cast jagged shadows across the clearing. The air smelled of wet earth, crushed leaves, and something darker, something like iron and fear. A single torch sputtered in the dirt, its flame trembling as if afraid of what it might illuminate. She knelt in the mud, her bare knees sinking into the cold, black soil. Her hands were bound behind her back with strips of bark rope, her wrists raw and bleeding. Her hair, once oiled and braided with beads, hung in wild tangles down her back. Her eyes, wide, unblinking, stared at the shallow pit before her. In it lay a tiny bundle wrapped in indigo cloth, tied with red thread. A baby, not crying, not moving. "You have brought shame upon this village," said the voice of the Onyishi, the village elder, his tone like a cracked drum. "A child born of sin, born of forbidden blood. The ancestors whisper in the wind. They say this child must not draw breath." The woman Amina shook her head, her voice a broken whisper. "He is innocent. He is alive. He is my son. The law is older than your sorrow," came the reply. "A child born under the blood moon to a woman with no husband, with a face that bears the mark of the Njuzu, the water spirit, must be returned to the earth before it brings the flood." Amina's breath hitched. The Njuzu mark, the faint, silvery scar that curled from her left temple to her jaw, like a river carved in skin. She had been born with it. The midwife had gasped. The priest had whispered prayers. And now it was the reason her child would die. "No," she pleaded, her voice rising. "I did not choose this. I did not summon the spirits. I only loved silence." The Onyishi raised a gnarled staff carved with serpentine patterns. "The ancestors have spoken. The child must be buried before the cock crows, or the village will drown." Amina screamed, a sound that tore through the night like a hyena's cry. But the men held her fast. The Onyishi nodded to two strong villagers who stepped forward, shovels in hand. The torchlight flickered as they began to dig deeper, widening the pit. The soil was dark, rich, and still warm from the day's sun. Crickets stopped chirping. Even the frogs fell silent. And then, just as the first shovelful of earth was about to fall, the baby moved. A tiny hand, no bigger than a mango seed, slipped from the cloth. Fingers uncurled, the palm faced upward as if reaching for the moon. Amina sobbed. "See? He lives! He lives!" The Onyishi hesitated, his eyes narrowed. "It is the work of the Njuzu. The spirit stirs. We must finish this." The shovels rose. But then, a sound, not from the baby, not from the forest, from the ground, a low, deep thrum, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The torch flame bent sideways as if pushed by an unseen wind. The soil in the pit began to bubble, like hot porridge left too long on the fire. "Ancestors, have mercy," someone whispered. The earth split, not with violence, but with purpose. A thin, pale shoot pushed upward, slender as a blade of grass, then thickened, growing at impossible speed. It twisted, spiraled, its surface shimmering with a faint opalescent glow. Leaves unfurled, broad, heart-shaped, veined with silver, and at its center, a bud began to form, not green, not brown, purple, deep, royal purple, like the robes of a queen. The villagers stumbled back. The Onyishi dropped his staff. Amina strained against her ropes, her eyes wide with terror and wonder. And then the bud opened, not into a flower, into a face, a tiny, perfect face, eyes closed, lips parted in a silent sigh. It was the face of the baby, but it was not the baby. It was more. The plant, now a sapling, no taller than a man's knee, bore the face of Amina's child at its crown, glowing with soft light. The roots pulsed beneath the soil, sending ripples through the ground. The air filled with a scent, sweet, like honey and rain, but also wild, like the first breath after a storm. "By the bones of my fathers," the Onyishi whispered. "What is this?" No one answered, because no one knew. But Amina did. And in that moment, as she stared at the impossible thing before her, she remembered everything. Long before the night of the blood moon, before the whispers of the Njuzu, before the shame and the silence, Amina had been a child of the river. She was born in the village of Ebelechi, nestled between the great forest of Oke and the winding Oya River, where the water sang at dawn and the crocodiles basked like stones on the banks. Her mother, Neka, was a dibia, a healer, a keeper of secrets. She could speak to the trees, read the stars, and brew potions from the roots of the ogbo vine. Her father, Chukuma, was a hunter, a man of the spear and the silent footstep, who knew the language of birds and the path of the antelope. Amina grew up barefoot, her feet calloused from walking the red soil paths, her hands stained with the juice of crushed herbs. She learned the songs of the river, the names of the spirits, and the proverbs that held the wisdom of the ancestors. When the river speaks, the wise listen. A child's laughter is the first prayer. The earth remembers what the mind forgets. But she also learned the other things, the ones whispered behind closed doors. The stories of the Juzu, the water spirits who lived beneath the river's surface, who could take human form, who could love and destroy. They are not evil, her mother once told her, grinding Uda seeds in a wooden mortar. They are other, like the crocodile, beautiful, dangerous, sacred. They choose few, and when they choose, the world trembles. Amina was 10 when she first saw the Njuzu. It was during the New Moon Festival, when the village gathered by the river to offer yams, kola nuts, and palm wine to the spirits. The drums beat slow and deep, like the heart of the earth. The firelight danced on the water. Amina, restless, wandered to the edge of the bank, where the reeds grew thick and the air smelled of fish and wet clay. She saw him then, a man, or what looked like a man standing waist-deep in the river. His skin was pale, almost translucent, like the belly of a frog. His hair was long and black, but it shimmered with silver, like moonlight on water. His eyes were the color of the river at twilight, deep green with flecks of gold. He smiled at her, not a human smile, a knowing smile. And then he spoke, not with a voice, but with a sound that came from the water itself, a ripple of syllables that echoed in her bones. "You are the one." Amina ran. She ran until her lungs burned, until she collapsed in the arms of her mother, who held her tight and whispered, "It has seen you. It has chosen you." "I don't want it," Amina cried. "I don't want to be chosen." "No one wants the gift," Neka said softly, "but the gift chooses, and it is not yours to refuse." From that night, the river changed. It sang to her. At dawn, when the mist rose like ghosts from the water, Amina could hear a melody, soft, haunting, like a lullaby no one else could hear. She would stand at the bank, barefoot, and the water would ripple toward her, as if greeting an old friend. She began to dream. Dreams of a city beneath the waves, towers of coral, streets paved with shells, and a palace made of living water. In the dreams, the Njuzu, his name was Ekwensu, though she did not know it then, would take her hand and say, "This is your true home. You are not of the land. You are of the deep." She woke each morning with her feet wet, her clothes damp, as if she had walked through a river in her sleep. Her mother watched. Her father said nothing, but his eyes grew sad. When Amina turned 16, the dreams grew stronger. And then, one night, she went. She walked to the river at midnight, drawn by a song she could no longer resist. The water parted before her like a curtain. She stepped in and sank, but she did not drown. She floated. Down, down, through tunnels of light and shadow, past schools of fish that glowed like lanterns, until she reached the city beneath the waves. Ekwensu was there. He stood before her, taller now, his form more solid, more real. He wore a cloak of woven kelp, and his eyes held galaxies. "You have come," he said, his voice the sound of waves crashing on stone. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "You were always meant to. You carry my blood in your veins. Your mother was one of us, a daughter of the river who chose the land. But the blood calls. It always calls." Amina trembled. "My mother?" She knew. "She kept you from us, but the river cannot be denied." He reached for her hand. His skin was cool, smooth like polished river stone. "I don't want to leave," she said. "You will not leave. You will return with a child of two worlds, a child who will bridge the deep and the dry." "No," she said. "I'm not ready. You are, and you will be. When the blood moon rises, the veil between worlds thins, and then the child will be born." She woke on the riverbank, soaked, shivering, her body aching as if she had run 100 miles. She told no one, but her mother knew. Neka found her the next morning, sitting by the water, tracing patterns in the mud with her fingers. "You've been to the deep," she said. Amina nodded. "And you've been chosen." "Yes," Neka sighed. "I tried to protect you. I brewed the agu tea, the Nchwanwu charm. I sang the songs to keep the river at bay. But the blood is strong." "What happens now?" Amina asked. "Now," Neka said, "you must prepare. For the child, for the birth, and for the judgment." "Judgment? The village will not understand. They fear what they do not know. And a child born of the Njuzu, they will say it is cursed. They will say it will bring the flood. But it won't. They will believe it anyway, Neka said, and they will act. Amina's heart pounded. Then I must run. And go where? The river is in your bones. You cannot escape it. And if you run, they will hunt you. They will say you are a witch. They will burn your mother. Amina looked at her mother, her strong, silent mother, who had carried the secret of her own birth for 30 years. What should I do? Neka took her hands. You must face it. You must stand. And when the child is born, you must show them. Not with words, but with truth. How? The river will speak, Neka said, and the earth will answer. The months passed. Amina grew heavy with child. The village noticed. Where is the father? They asked. He is gone, she said. A hunter, lost in the forest. They did not believe her. Whispers followed her like vultures. She is with the spirits. She dances naked by the river at night. She is cursed. The mark on her face proves it. Even her friends turned away. The women at the market no longer greeted her. The children threw stones at her shadow. Only her mother stood by her. Neka brewed potions, ogwu for strength, chuanwu for protection, uda to calm the spirit. She sang the old songs, the ones passed down from the dibia of old, the ones that called to the ancestors. And Amina prepared. She wove a cradle from river reeds, dyed with indigo from the uli plant. She collected 7 smooth stones from the riverbed, each one placed in a different corner of her hut to ward off evil. She painted her body with white clay, the color of purity, and wore a necklace of cowrie shells, each one a prayer. The night of the blood moon came. The sky turned crimson, as if the moon had been dipped in wine. The air was thick with the scent of jasmine and damp earth. The river roared, louder than usual, its waves crashing against the bank like a beast in labor. Amina's pains began at midnight. Neka lit the sacred fire, burned ugbo leaves, and chanted the iwa, the birth song. Oya, mother of rivers, open the way. Chineke, creator, guide the child. Nyuzu, spirit of the deep, be gentle. The contractions came fast. Amina screamed, not in pain, but in recognition. She felt the child move inside her, not like a human child, but like something older, something that knew the world before it was born. At the moment of birth, the river stopped. The waves froze mid-crash. The frogs fell silent. The wind died. And then a sound, a song, not from the river, from within her. A low humming melody, rising from her womb, echoing through the hut, through the village, through the forest. The baby was born. Amina held him, small, perfect, his skin pale with a faint silver sheen, his eyes closed, his breath soft, but on his chest just above his heart was a mark, not a scar, a symbol, a spiral like the whirlpool of the river, drawn in silver light that pulsed with each heartbeat. Neka gasped. The mark of the Njuzu passed to the child. Amina wept. He is beautiful. He is more, Neka whispered. He is a bridge, a promise. But the peace did not last. The Onishi arrived before dawn. He had heard the song, he had seen the blood moon, and he had feared. A child born under the blood moon, to a woman with the Njuzu mark, with no husband, and now his mark too. This is not a child, he declared. This is a omen. The ancestors say, bury it or the flood will come. Neka stepped forward. He is alive. He is innocent. You cannot kill a child for what he is. The law is clear, the Onishi said. The Njuzu bring the flood. They take what is not theirs. This child is not of the land. He must be returned to the earth. He is of both worlds, Neka said, and he will heal them. Blasphemy, the Onishi roared. You are a dibia, but you have forgotten the ancestors. You have betrayed the village. He raised his staff, and the men came. They took the baby. They bound Amina. They carried them to the clearing, this clearing, where the soil was black and the ancestors were said to walk. And now, as the earth split and the plant with the baby's face bloomed from the ground, the Onishi fell to his knees. What is this? He whispered. The sapling, now nearly a young tree, began to sing. Not a human song, a plant song, a melody of roots and leaves, of water and light, of life and memory. And the face on the bud opened its eyes. They were not the eyes of a baby. They were the eyes of Ekwensu. And they looked at the Onishi. You fear what you do not understand, the voice said, not from the mouth, but from the tree, from the earth, from the river itself. You call me spirit, you call me demon, but I am life. I am the river that feeds your fields. I am the rain that fills your wells. I am the fish in your nets. You have taken my child, but the earth has taken him back, and now he will grow." The roots pulsed. From the base of the tree, new shoots emerged, dozens, then hundreds, spreading through the soil like veins. And where they touched, the earth changed. The dry, cracked ground near the riverbank began to moisten. Grass sprouted where there had been dust. Flowers, purple, gold, white, burst from the soil in perfect spirals, matching the mark on the baby's chest. The villagers gasped. "The land, it's healing. Healing," someone whispered. "The drought is ending," another said. The Onyishi stared, his face pale. This is not a curse. This is a blessing." "It was always a blessing," the voice said. "You called it a curse because you feared the unknown, but the river does not hate you. The earth does not punish you. They nurture you. And this child is the bridge. He will grow and he will teach. He will show you how to live in balance, with the water, with the forest, with each other." Amina, still bound, wept. "My son." "He is not lost," the voice said. "He is transformed. He is more. And you, Amina, you are his mother. You are the one who carried him. You are the one who loved him, and you will be his voice." The tree began to rise. Slowly, gracefully, it grew, taller, stronger, its branches spreading like arms. The face at the top turned toward Amina, and it smiled. Not a human smile, a tree smile, a promise. The Onyishi rose, trembling. We were wrong." "You were afraid," the voice said. "But now, you must learn. The world is changing. The old ways must grow like this tree. You cannot bury the future. You must nurture it." One by one, the villagers fell to their knees, not in fear, in awe. The Onyishi approached Amina. He knelt before her and untied her ropes with shaking hands. "Forgive us," he whispered. "We were blind." Amina touched his face. "The ancestors forgive, but you must change. No more fear, no more shame, only understanding." He nodded. And then a sound from the river, a low, rumbling growl. The water began to rise, but not in anger, in celebration. The river surged, its waves dancing, its surface shimmering with silver light. Fish leapt into the air, their scales flashing like mirrors. Crocodiles emerged from the banks, their eyes glowing, and bowed their massive heads toward the tree. And then a figure emerged from the water, Ekwensu. He walked from the river, his form now fully human, his skin still pale, his hair still silver. He wore a cloak of woven water, and his eyes held the depth of the sea. He approached the tree, and he placed a hand on its trunk. "He is safe," he said, "and he will grow. But he will need you, Amina. You are his mother. You are his voice. You will teach the village. You will be the Dibia of the new age." Amina looked at him. "And you?" "I will watch. From the river, from the deep. I will protect him. But the world must change. The people must see." He turned to the villagers. "You have lived in fear. You have buried your children. You have burned your elders. You have cut down the trees and poisoned the rivers. But the earth remembers. The water remembers. And now the future remembers. This child, this tree is the first of many. The balance is returning, but only if you choose it." He looked at the Onyishi. "Will you?" The elder bowed his head. "We will," Ekwensu smiled. "Then the flood will not come. Not from the river, not from the sky, not from the ancestors. Only from your hearts if you let fear win." He turned to Amina. "Teach them," he said. "Teach them the songs. Teach them the stories. Teach them that the Njuzu are not monsters. They are keepers. And this child, your son, will be the first teacher." He stepped back into the river and sank. The water closed over him. Silence. Then a single note, a flute, played from the deep. The tree glowed, and the first fruit appeared. Not a mango, not a banana. A fruit shaped like a heart, its skin shimmering with silver and purple, its flesh glowing with inner light. Amina reached up and plucked it. She bit into it, and as she did, a wave of warmth spread through her body. Her skin glowed faintly. Her hair shimmered. Her eyes began to hold the color of the river. She turned to the villagers. "This," she said, holding up the fruit, "is not magic. It is memory. The memory of the land, the memory of the river, the memory of the ancestors, and it is ours." The Onyishi stepped forward. "We will build a shrine for the tree, for the child, for the balance." Amina nodded. "And we will teach the children the truth, not fear, but wisdom." The village began to change. The tree, now called Oji Noa, the tree of the child, grew tall and strong. Its fruit, called ndu, became sacred. Only those who showed kindness, who protected the river, who honored the ancestors, could eat it. And when they did, they gained clarity, strength, and the ability to hear the songs of the earth. Amina became the village's new dibia, not just of herbs, but of balance. She taught the young to listen to the wind, to read the clouds, to speak to the animals. She taught them the old songs and the new ones, the ones the tree sang at dawn. The river, once feared, became a place of pilgrimage. People came from distant villages to drink from its waters, to place offerings at the base of the tree, to listen to the humming of the roots. And the onyishi, he stepped down, not in shame, but in wisdom. He became the first teacher of the new ways, sitting beneath the tree each morning, telling stories to the children, stories of the njuzu, of the blood moon, of the child who became a tree. And every year on the night of the blood moon, the village gathered. They sang, they danced, they offered yams, kola nuts, and palm wine. And at the center of the clearing, the ojinwa glowed. Its face, still the face of the baby, smiled. And from its branches new shoots fell to the ground. And where they landed, they took root and grew into new trees, each one bearing a face, each one singing, each one remembering. Years passed. Amina grew old, her hair white, her skin lined with the stories of her life. But her eyes still held the river. One night, as she sat beneath the ojinwa, the tree began to sing a new song, a song of farewell. She smiled. "It is time," she whispered. She closed her eyes, and when the villagers found her at dawn, she was gone. But where she had sat, a new sapling had grown, small, pale, silver-veined, and on its bud, a face, Amina's face. The village wept, but they did not bury her. They nurtured her. They watered the sapling with river water. They sang to it. They told it stories. And when the fruit came, they shared it, and the wisdom grew. For the true lesson was not about the njuzu, not about the river, not about the flood. It was about fear and love. The villagers had feared the unknown, the mark, the spirit, the child born under the blood moon. They had buried what they did not understand, but the earth had answered. It had shown them that the future is not to be feared, it is to be nurtured. That every child, every idea, every change carries the seed of something greater. And that when you bury a truth, it does not die, it grows, in the roots, in the songs, in the hearts of those who dare to listen. The ojinwa still stands, and its roots run deep, through the soil, through the river, through the memory of a woman who loved a child no one else would, and through the village that learned, too late, but not too late, to see. For the greatest magic is not in the spirits, or the trees, or the river. It is in the choice to bury fear, or to plant love, and let it grow. So when you walk through your life, child of the earth, child of the sky, child of the river, remember this: do not fear what you do not understand. Do not bury the future. Plant it, water it, and when it grows, let it surprise you, because the world is full of wonders, and they are waiting just beneath the soil. If you believe in the power of stories to heal, to teach, to grow, then join us at African Haven Tales. Subscribe,